Greetings. The Hawaiian monarchy went underground, dated January 25th, 1893, and then the Provisional Government stepped in. They were the ones who dethroned the Queen, who was part of the Kamehameha dynasty. So that basically means that the Provisional Government was a planned usurpation of the Queen, and you have to read John Foster's articles. You can just query it on Google, and the posting by Amelia Gora, myself. A lot of the Hawaiians believe that they can just restart or redo the government without rules. So they're no different from the usurpers, the Provisional Government. If you look at the court case in Hawaiian Reports 1863, it's Rex versus Booth. Page 630, the Hawaiian government was not established by the people. The Constitution did not emanate from them. They were not consulted in their aggregate capacity or in convention, and they had no direct voice in founding either the government or the Constitution. King Kamehameha III originally possessed in his own person all the attributes of absolute sovereignty. Of his own free will, he granted the Constitution of 1840 as a boon to his country and people, establishing his government upon a declared plan or system, having reference not only to the permanency of his throne and dynasty, but to the government of his country, according to fixed laws and civilized usage, in lieu of what may be styled the feudal but chaotic and uncertain system which previously prevailed. The recognition of his independence by the great powers of Christendom, the claims of commerce, the influx of foreigners, and the gradual advancement of his native subjects rendered necessary still further changes. The government had to be regularly organized, the different powers separated and defined, and the whole land system of the kingdom to be remodeled. The first constitution no longer furnished a sufficiently broad foundation. The king, by and with the advice and consent of the nobles and the House of Representatives, voluntarily granted and proclaimed the present Constitution on the 14th of June, 1852. The Hawaiian Kingdom was made up of three parts. It was made up of the monarch. It's defined through genealogical direct lineal descendant of Kamehameha, who had formed the monarchy government or the Hawaiian government in 1810. There was no voting on the matter. The House of Nobles, a permanent group of members whose descendants and heirs became privy to through genealogical direct lineal relationships. There was no voting on the matter. Now, those are the two permanent parts of the government, the Hawaiian government. The House of Representatives, which is the third part, was a body that could be voted for by the people. It was a third part, the House of Representatives. Most of them were part of the usurpers. Kamehameha the First had 20 documented children, which included Kamehameha the Third. He became king after his brother, who died in England in 1824. Then his position was he was being watched over by Kalani Moku and Ka'ahumanu, one of the widows of Kamehameha the First. Our families are the descendants of Kalani Moku's brother named Keoa, and he was married to Akahi, who's our ancestor, and they were the Hanai parents of Kekauanohi. Kamehameha III was also one of the heirs of Kekauanohi. In order to understand what went on, you have to break all the issues apart. You have to track down the genealogies. You have to look at the government. You have to look at the laws at the time and up to 1893. And then you could go further to find out what transpired to understand the whole picture. But the point of this short clip is that the Hawaiian Kingdom, the Hawaiian government is still here because it did go underground. But meanwhile, our families, Kamehamehas, are still here. And Kamehameha had 20 children, and many of his descendants exist today, including myself. I'm a descendant of 4 of his children: Ka'olioku, Kamehameha III, Kanikapolei number 2, and Kalanihelimai Luna. Now, Bernice Pauahi, the real one, because the one that I found and documented in our family had maintained that she was Hapahauli. She was half white. And there's a book that came out, was printed in early history, where the real Bernice died at around age 16, and she was replaced by a neighbor's child. But anyway, we are from Kalani Helimailuna, and the son was Kalani Ulumoku, and our tutu died in 1838, and his brother Abner Paki, who was the real father of the real Bernice Pauahi, he took care. He was the stepfather of our family. There was Kalola, and we're documented on the will of the probate of Bernice Pauahi, and and had a sister Kaluai Kao and a brother Alapa'i. Alapa'i was part of the House of Nobles. But meanwhile, there's a lot of identity theft and frauds, piracy, pillaging, and the trustees of the bishop estates, they are not the owners. They don't have allodial titles. They're not related to us, our families. And we're like a hukilau net because we pretty much know who belongs and who doesn't. So there's a lot of piracy, pillaging, criminal identity theft, and racketeering. So the provisional government that was formed, they're all criminals, and they were supported by the United States, but not by President Cleveland. President Cleveland gave Hawaii back 3 times to Queen Liliuokalani in 1893, 1894, and 1897. And the usurpers tried to hide all of that information. So what we're surrounded by are a bunch of criminals. They're identity thieves, they're racketeering, and they have destroyed a lot of our documentation, because my former father-in-law, who used to work for the archives, his name was George Yamamoto, he had complained to me over the years of how the archives under Agnes Conrad was destroying documents. But so you have a group of criminals who are not the government, and this article basically states that too. And our families basically were watching, and we're part of Queen Liliuokalani's families too. But until the next video, just know that the entity State of Hawaii, which is actually developed by President McKinley and their occupiers, criminal racketeering people documented. But just to let you know that the Hawaiian Kingdom is here, and anybody who's trying to claim that they are the Hawaiian Kingdom, they have to show proof how they're connected to the Kamehamehas, because it is the Kamehamehas who are the Hawaiian government and are the landowners, and the purpose being, the reason why I'm coming forward now is to inform everybody that all the Kanaka Maoli still own the lands. It's allodial titles, and even that information was hidden. So until the next clip, everybody, malama, malama pono, take care, aloha.